No one has more state pride than New Mexicans. The vibrant culture, bold flavors, unique history, and dramatic landscapes under our Zia sun are like no other. And the people of New Mexico are a rare breed. As diverse as we are, together we breathe life and soul into this high desert land. A land that promises adventure. I'm Michael Newman, and as your host, I'll be taking you with me as I seek out the best the land of enchantment has to offer.
New Mexico, it feels like home to me. It feels so true. It's time well spent when I spend it with you.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode of New Mexico True Television. I'm your host, Michael Newman. In this episode, we're exploring some of the greatest natural wonders of our state. From the depths of Carlsbad Caverns to the towering hoodoos of the Badlands, we make our way through some of the most captivating landscapes within the land of enchantment. Coming from Albuquerque, the main gate to the Valles Caldera is 22 miles up New Mexico State Route 4 from Jemez Springs at mile marker 39.2. The Valles Caldera is the supervolcano of the Southwest, known for its meadows, wildlife, and more recently, mountain biking. Just in the last few years, the Valles Caldera expanded the park's trail system for mountain biking, so this is virgin territory for many cyclists, adding to the appeal. My friend Sarah and I are meeting up at the visitor center to get some more insight on the trails before heading out for a ride. Good. We're here to mountain bike.
Great, okay, so let me show you what we've got.
Great.
You can bike all along this road that's blue, any of the blue line, or you can bike on any of these dotted lines here. These are old logging roads that you can bike on.
Okay, so most of these look like they just skirt around, they're more flat, but if we wanted to climb, we'd go up to these ones.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
It's amazing, I'm so excited to ride.
Yeah, and you've never ridden here before,
I have
right?
not, have you?
Okay. No, I haven't, and you're gonna have to be easy on me if you're gonna go really fast. I might go a little slower.
That's cool.
'Cause
We're
this
going to find
seems-
some diversity and we'll find some for you and me.
Yeah, there we go. All right,
Be great.
let's do it.
Excellent.
Sarah is by far a more experienced rider than I, but she promised to take it easy on me. And from the looks of it, the scenery and wildlife should provide sufficient distraction where she may not even notice she's not getting in the ultimate workout. This giant collapsed crater originated from a volcanic eruption more than 1 million years ago. A nature preserve spectacular in scope and one of the great geological wonders of our state. All right. Whew. Sarah, thank you for hitting that trail with me, man. That was
Awesome.
awesome, and it's such a stunning landscape.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
A great day.
I can't tell you how many times I've driven past this place and just seeing it from the highway, just looking at the vista, but being here in it, it's such an amazing experience. So,
It's been fantastic.
yeah, thank you for giving me a run for my money. My time in the Valles will not end here though. I'm headed up to another area of the Caldera to meet up with my friend Steve, who is going to give me some one-on-one instruction on fly fishing the renowned waters here. All right, Steve, so I've done my fair share of fly fishing, but I have not done it here. So tell me how this is different from other places.
We're fishing Reach 1 on the San Antonio. It's a wild fishery.
Yeah.
Though the creek is not large,
Yeah, you can't really see the water even from here.
it actually holds 17, 18-inch fish. It holds
Whoa.
some really large fish.
Okay.
They're really, really spooky. You really have to approach the fish gingerly. They're
Okay. So we're tiptoeing to the water.
Okay, so Michael, some of the fly patterns that we're going to be trying, some of the hopper patterns, some of the beetle patterns, and some of the caddis patterns.
Okay. Steve had been observing the insects coming up off the water and in the grasses, so we should be in good shape with our bait. That wind is kicking, baby.
So I laid that right on the button, and that's where you want to put it. Just kind of right up on that bank.
Steve gives me a quick demonstration on where I want to cast. So aside from the added complexity of the wind, I think I'm ready to take a stab at it.
There you go. There it's floating.
Nothing biting yet, but as I've learned from fly fishing, that comes with the territory sometimes. We're not discouraged yet. Persistence is key. Nope, still nothing.
So just be patient. Just be patient.
All those fish that are rising.
You see it? No.
It's a water droplet off your fly.
Oh, I thought I got something.
Yeah, the bottom.
After a bit of fisherman banter, i.e. innocent trash talking and getting my line tangled, I decided maybe time to cut our losses.
I think we can call it a day, although we didn't catch any flies. We caught flies, we didn't catch fish. Okay.
That's why they call it fishing and not catching.
Yes, we did some good fishing today, though we lacked in the catching department. All fishermen need to check in at the visitor center to acquire a Valles Caldera National Preserve fishing permit in addition to the New Mexico Game and Fish license. Be aware the number of permits issued each day is limited. The main staging area is open year-round. The fall and winter months, it is only open Friday through Sunday, but from May 15th through September 30th, it is open 7 days a week. Stay tuned for a subterranean wonderland. And now from the pages of New Mexico Magazine. 3 hours east of Las Cruces and only 20 miles south of the town of Carlsbad, off US 62 West, are the legendary Carlsbad Caverns. Under this vast limestone-crusted desert terrain is a wide opening in the plateau, the mouth to a cave more magical and mesmerizing than you'll find anywhere else on Earth. This is Carlsbad Caverns, one of our state's greatest wonders. Comprised of multiple chambers housing endless formations that are all at once sprawling, towering, hovering, and enveloping, they reveal themselves at every turn as you wander through this subterranean wonderland. There are several different tours for exploring the caverns, and I've opted for the ranger-led tour of the King's Palace, whose chambers are the deepest part of the caverns accessible to the public. Valerie leads me down a zigzagging trail to the gateway to the King's chambers, and with every step my anticipation grows, as do the number of questions I have. Like, what am I looking at, and how did it get this way? As simple as it sounds, it's baffling.
So the water collects on the surface from rain and snow melt, and then it percolates down slowly, very slowly through cracks and crevices. When it reaches the cave, then it drips. And those drips are what leaves behind minerals. The water evaporates, but the minerals stay behind. And so that's how stalagmites and stalactites are formed.
Okay, and what are the difference between the two?
So a stalagmite grows from the ground up. It might reach the ceiling, is a good way to remember it, and a stalactite grows from the ceiling down.
Okay.
And they grow depending on drip rate. So if it's dripping really fast, it's going to drip to the ground and stalagmites will be formed. If it's a slow drip, then you'll get stalactites.
And when the two meet, they form a column. Look at me, collecting knowledge the way those stalactites amass their drips. Slowly but surely.
This room is humongous.
Yeah, this is called the King's Palace, which is really, really gorgeous. Over here is the King's Court, so waiting for the king to arrive with the guillotine hanging above him, which is a drapery, basically.
And you see a very pronounced column.
Well, you would think it's a column, and we wondered, and so we took a ladder one time and climbed up, and you can actually slip a piece of paper in between the two. They don't meet. So that formation is called the frustrated lovers.
That's awesome.
So as we enter into this little cave, we blasted this 83 years ago so we could connect the two chambers. And over the 83 years, these little tiny baby stalactites have formed about the size of the tip of your baby finger. So 83 years, pretty cool.
Per millimeter. Man, the reverberation here is so crazy.
Isn't it great?
Narrow tunnels between the chambers, minimal lighting, and the quiet, echoing nature of the cave's architecture lend to a feeling of total immersion. And if I wasn't already tapping into the cave experience, Valerie was going to ensure that I would be soon.
I'm going to give you an experience like you've never had before. It's going to be total darkness to the point where you're not going to be able to see anything.
Okay.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Should I sit down first?
You might want to. Yeah, that would be a good idea. So the darkest dark that you can ever imagine, your eyes can't even focus on any tiny beam of light.
Am I dreaming?
Sitting in the darkness, I couldn't help but wonder how it felt for the people who first ventured into the cave, like Jim White, who first discovered it.
But Jim White was a 16-year-old boy, and he was out ranching the land, and he saw what he thought was smoke. And so he rode over on his horse to investigate what he assumed was a fire, and it was actually the bats exiting the cave. And when he saw the mouth of the cave, that intrigued him to want to know more. And so he made these rickety ladders and came down here with kerosene lamps and spent, 40, 50 years exploring the cave over his lifetime.
Man.
Can you imagine coming into this cave as a kid in the pitch darkness? You'll really brave, I think, of him.
Absolutely.
I consider myself an adventurous and curious spirit, but I pale in comparison to Jim White.
So up here, this formation is called the orchestra, and you can see the conductor with his arms up, and then the one playing the violin.
That's crazy.
Really pretty.
It looks so fragile. Like this little thing. But
It
they're
is,
bent.
yeah.
It's cool.
Awesome.
Play on, maestro.
So this area is called the Papoose Room.
Valerie points out the statuesque formation for which the room is named, as well as the appropriately named soda straws, who in their more mature years will become stalactites. After my tour of the King's Palace, I head to the big room to take in some of the cave's most notable and spectacular large formations. In exploring its many chambers, translating the scope and majesty of the caverns eludes me, so I reflect on the poem by William Felter. Here Titans toiled to rear this vast cathedral of the depths. No word can picture all the loveliness that nature here has fashioned for the eye. Here, pompous man sinks into nothingness. His deeds must pall before the infinite. What words cannot explain, though, experience will convey. You must see it for yourself. If you make it to King's Palace, look for the smudge marks on the walls where early explorers left handprints to help them find their way out of the cave. If you're able to go between April and October, don't miss the bat flight at dusk. If you're an adventurous traveler, you may want to check out some of the other tours like the Spider Cave or Hall of the White Giant. For more great stories like this from New Mexico Magazine, visit newmexico.org. Coming up, the remains of a prehistoric delta. Sign up to receive monthly newsletters about events and happenings around the state at newmexico.org. And now, here's another New Mexico True Treasure.
Hi, I'm Andrea, and the City of Rock State Park is one of my New Mexico True Treasures. So it is scenic and it is really pretty, but it's also just like you can run all over and go anywhere you want, and you can climb up rocks and you can climb over things and you can hide from people around corners and in little cracks in the rocks. And it was just, every time I've been there, it's been a good time. There's trails that wind in and out of the rocks, and we're not talking rocks or boulders even, but more like geologic features that go way above your head. And it's just fun to explore, and so many places I go, it's like, stay on the trail, don't cut the switchback, follow this, and this isn't like that. It's just an opportunity to like find your own way around. It's fun.
153 miles northwest of Albuquerque off US 550 and County Road 7950 is a dirt road just beyond the entrance to Chaco Canyon. This road will lead you to Liebrook Badlands. This remote landscape speckled with sagebrush, pinon juniper, and patches of grasslands gives no hint to the enclave of hoodoos in its midst, which is what my fellow travelers and I are seeking out. Traversing the rocky hillsides, you'll need to carve your own trail, for the isolation and undeveloped nature of this place, which adds to its mystery and allure, also means you won't find a trailhead or any markers along the way. That's why on this expedition, I feel lucky to have my friend Ed leading the charge with his wife Nekar. A local with a background in archaeology, Ed's what I would call a pioneer of this territory, having explored and documented many of the formations that lie before us.
It's crazy you can kind of see the level that it once was all the way around. It's kind of like,
well, you have
super even.
a silt clay deposit, and then at some point in time during the geologic formation, you end up getting a sandier deposit. And then later on, you get more of a clay deposit, different episodes of deposition.
Wow.
It doesn't take an expert, though, to appreciate the magnificence of the Badlands. Towering hoodoos set against a backdrop of soft pink and gray hues, melding with reds and browns, is something to behold.
Coming up to one of the named hoodoos, I call it the Chipped Bull.
Since Ed is virtually the only person to have documented this landscape, he's had the privilege of naming the hoodoos, and I can see where he finds his inspiration, coining names for formations akin to flying saucers, orbs hovering overhead, and one of my personal favorites, the Three Stooges, It's not unlike defining the patterns you see in the clouds above. Perhaps more inspiring, though, are the photographic qualities of this landscape.
Every time I come out here, though, I make sure I get a photograph of it because the lighting's different. Sometimes I have clouds. The first time I was out here, it was like a rainstorm and you could see the dark clouds behind it.
Endless angles, shapes, and abstractions, matched with obscure silhouettes and a diversity of textures, reveal themselves to you through the lens, reflecting this uncanny and extraordinary place. A land meant for explorers, our very own frontier. Be sure and check the weather before heading to Liebrook. The roads may be difficult or impossible to drive. Not to mention the hiking itself will be slick. Bring your own water and snacks. There are no services here in no man's land. And cell phone service is limited. Come prepared with maps and navigation. Up next, one of the best places to catch the sunset.
Do you take a lot of pictures on your New Mexico travels? Well, if you do, show us by hashtagging New Mexico True on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
White Sands National Monument is located on US 70, about 15 minutes drive from Alamogordo and about an hour from Las Cruces. At about 275 square miles, White Sands is the largest gypsum dune field in the world. And while the dunes appear still and peaceful, they actually are dynamic, with some of them moving up to 30 feet per year. My friends Laura, Sasha, and I are ready to hit the dunes. I'm speechless right now. Oh man. Don't you feel like we're a caravan walking through the desert? You feel like you're the only person out here, you know?
I know.
And I kind of just want to fall into the dunes. It's like a big bed of white sand. Do you guys mind if I do this? I'm just gonna jump. I'm just gonna jump. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Ah! Does that look like it hurts as much as it does? Woo! That was good. Awesome.
You can't help but to think of snow when you're out here. And Sasha and Laura had to try their hands in making sand angels.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. But wings are a little bit bigger. That's not a competition. Okay. What are you trying to say, huh? You're more of an angel than I am? Maybe a little bit.
You also can't help but think of the beach. And we came across a family surfing? How are you guys? Good. So is there a secret to sliding down?
No, not really. Just rock yourself back and forth.
The secret is you got to say your prayers before you
It seems like you guys are going down pretty fast, so I need to learn all the techniques first. I'm kind of heavy.
You go further.
Oh! Whoa! Wow. That was fun. Now do it again. One more.
Perfect landing.
Yeah, that's my
I would
daughter.
love to try.
My daughter.
You can sure meet a lot of nice people in a place like this, and these folks were very generous in letting us try out their sledding equipment. But you can also lose yourself here if you just hike a little ways off the road. You can feel like you're the only ones here, although you might see a person or two off in the distance. It's like a cartoon. Watching the sun set over White Sands reinforces what a beautiful state New Mexico is. Truly the land of enchantment.
Down to the last drop.
Wow. Really? Seriously? I can't stop looking.
I know, it's like, where did you go? I know the moon should be coming up
And there is.
anytime soon.
Yeah. Oh, look at the sun. Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
We came here today to see the full moon, and we weren't disappointed.
Oh,
my
she's
God.
creeping! She's creeping!
It's so bright.
It's so bright. It's like yellow. Looks like the sun
Like
almost.
fire.
That is so amazing.
What a wonderful way to end the day at White Sands National Monument. For your journey to the dunes of White Sands, here are some hints.
Check out the calendar of events for special full moon hikes and bike rides. If you don't bring your own sled, they can actually be purchased at the gift shop. Pets on a leash are always welcome.
Thank you for coming along with us to take in some of the majestic wonders here in our backyard. As you probably already know, there's no shortage of them out there. And with that being said, what are you doing next weekend?